And there we go. We are on Films Gone Wild. We are going to talk about the film Crestone. We have the director, Marnie Ellen Hertzler, with us. Marnie, welcome to Films Gone Wild.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, all right, let's start off, as we always do, with having you introduce our audience who have not yet seen Crestone. What is Crestone about?
Yeah, I'm Marnie Ellen Hertzler. I'm the director of Crestone. Crestone is a movie I made with my high school friends in the desert of Colorado over the course of 8 days. It's about friendship, music, and persisting against all odds.
It's about all of that. It's also about myth making to an extent.
About a lot of
Um,
things, if we're being honest.
right? And and one of the fascinating things about it as I was watching it is that I have been hyper conscious of the evolution of us as a people and how we look upon ourselves thanks to the advent of reality television and thanks to the idea that we now are all very, very comfortable and almost expect to be on camera at some point in our lives. Whether it's to be interviewed for a TV show or, or to be, filming ourselves that we're going to put on Facebook or Instagram or what have you. That's just a thing now. And, and I saw Crestone as in many ways, maybe not a culmination of that, but certainly Crestone doesn't happen in the way that you made it or the way that that your friends participated in it even 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, I don't think. So talk about the idea to make this, to do this film, because we've gone past the thing of saying let's just film ourselves because we're all really cool and it's gonna be awesome. No, we have a little bit more of an advanced thought process, I think, by this point, and you as ringleader definitely have a hand in this. So talk about that from your perspective.
Yeah, my work is really interested in the way technology shapes us, whether that shapes our relationships or even shapes us physically. And I think Crestone heavily investigates that thesis in a way. Throughout the movie, you see the struggles and the high points of friendship, and it's all through different forms of technology. And I do think those forms of technology affect friendship. So like whether we're like filming ourselves like this or filming our friends like this, or like where they're having a conversation here or a conversation here, it's all really affected. And I think Crestone explores those mediums as ways of self-expression and connecting and showing love in general. And then it also shows the pitfalls of that and the struggles. And I my friends already had a whole catalog of themselves on their social media. They have a very specific persona that they uphold, and it's very interesting, and they're very talented, and they're very, very prolific. So I was lucky enough to walk into that content and be given access and trust with that content. So I already had that. So my hand in it is just finding out how to use that content sensitively and creatively, through my lens. So it's like they have agency over their camera, and I utilize that to show how I saw them and how I was interacting with them. So it was like a give and take the whole movie, with cameras and representation and agency. It was a relay race.
Right, right. Well, it is, and it's like it's meta on top of meta on top of meta, and and at some point, like I kind of expected like Dennis Hopper 2.0 from Apocalypse Now to like appear and go, "You're part of the film, man. We're all part of the film, man. There's no I in team, right?" and because right. All right. Well, but here's the thing, though. And then again, as I'm watching it, because I've got a couple mindsets as I'm watching it. One, just taking in the information and the photography, that you're showing us, but also kind of tracking what this overall, picture, is meant to deliver. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're orchestrating. And so I would love to hear you talk about that, because you said you shot this over what, like 8 days or something?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you're just getting a shit ton of footage, and and you're doing interviews, you're shooting scenarios, you're shooting backdrops or what have you, and now you have to create something coherent out of that. It's like what, it's like, we're not doing like the Andy Warhol sleep movie, right, where we're watching 10 hours of somebody literally asleep. We're crafting something here that has a storyline, that has a through line. So talk about your process in doing that.
Right. So going into the shoot, like, we had written scenes together, so we did have somewhat of a script, or at least a structure, to get us through 8 days. So I knew when I came home, I would at least have something concrete. So that was already our base, and we had that as a layout and a map. I also am really interested in leaning into genre and tropes in a way that comments on them, and I wanted Crestone to do that too. So like, we of course we didn't have like a true 3 act structure. It wasn't scripted. There wasn't like this big cathartic moment or an argument. We had to shape it, and it was fun, and that was the idea of it. So we were just playing on this idea of like how we make a movie, and like what is scary, like how do we make a scene, what's a horror scene, like let's try to do that. What's a music video, how do we do this too, like how do we make what we did into a movie. So that's what we were really doing over the next few years while we were editing it, is finding the structure that it needed to be. And I mean, we always say we maybe made 12 different Crestones, and then this was the best one. So it's like we were playing the whole time, and we were just finding its best form, because I don't think we set out knowing its best form at the get-go, because we weren't really sure what was going to even happen.
Right. And then this is the final question that I had, that I was really curious as I was watching this. Again, thinking about you and thinking about your process as a filmmaker, making this. Um, Oftentimes when a project like this is done, and in fact, even much more structured documentary projects, um, in fact, narrative, in fact, as well, you can find yourself in that editing bay, and you can go, this guy or this girl or this character is really grabbing me, and maybe I need to give him some more screen time, where I wasn't going to do so in the first place. So I would love to hear you talk about that. And you're smiling now, so obviously there's something. So talk about that.
Um, yeah, I mean, we had our like cast of characters when we went out there, but of course, people just showed up. And I think that we were very lucky for that. And we shot what we could with them when we had their attention, and just hope for the best. And we came home with like um, a couple more scenes we wanted. I don't know, the guy Cody, the guy on the bike, like he was such a surprise, and like such like a delicacy and like a strangeness, and then also so human and compelling that we just decided to write an entire scene character for him and just end the whole thing on him, because he is just like a summation of what they're doing. He's like the little like lost poet, and we really wanted to showcase that, and that was a surprise, and I had never met him before, and we got really lucky. So I guess that's what I was smiling at. I was thinking about him. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, no. I mean, again, it's like, it's not a question that has like, a right or a wrong answer. It's just, the curiosity, because again, you go, you have a handful of people, that are getting screen time, and the odds are that one of them is going to pop, so to speak. And one of them, as you're in the editing bay, trying to, craft together a story and stitch things together, that you go, something, this dude is really entertaining. So let's add another little segment there that we weren't going to do, and then somebody else that was prominent, you go, it's okay, but it kind of drags. And so that gets cut. And that's just a natural process, right? And so, and especially with a film like this, where again, yet, even, with the structure that you say you had, it's still very free form. And, and it still really is, the ebbs and flows are what you made of it, you know, with the footage that you had. And so all that being said, um, you know, as a filmmaker, did you wind up with what you kind of thought you were heading to when you first, like, actually started filming? Or, was it such an evolution that you go, something, I had no idea that this was going to be our final Crestone film?
I'd say yes and no. It became more deeply personal than I expected it to be. It became about the experience and um, my reaction to the experience and their reaction to it, and that's not something I could have planned. So I think for the scenes we did write and for the theme of like it being the end of the world, yes, we got what we wanted. That's what I was expected, but my character was never supposed to be really in it in the beginning. I was never closed off to it, but the deeply personal aspect of Crestone came while we were editing, for sure.
Uh, well, again, the title of the film is Crestone. We've been talking to Marnie Ellen Hertzler, the director of this. The film is playing at the Sound Unseen Music Plus Film Festival. Marnie, it's been great talking about the movie with you.
Thank you so much.
And there we go. All right, you made it through both of them.
Great,
All,
thank you.
all,